What is the history of AmeriCorps VISTA? Service is and has always been a vital force in American life. Throughout our history, our nation has relied on the dedication and action of citizens, just like you, to tackle our biggest challenges. In 1963, President John F. Kennedy spoke of a domestic volunteer program modeled after the newly established Peace Corps. The next year, Lyndon B. Johnson declared a war on poverty and signed the American Economic Opportunity Act of 1964. This act created Volunteers in Service to America, VISTA, and fulfilled President Kennedy's dream. The first VISTA members started in January 1965, and by the end of that year, more than 2,000 members were working in the Appalachian region, migrant worker camps in California, and the poor neighborhoods of Hartford, Connecticut. By 1966, there were 3,600 VISTA members serving throughout the United States. Through the 1960s, they helped develop some of the first Head Start programs and Job Corps sites. The credit union system eventually was established by VISTAs. The first members started agricultural cooperatives, community groups, and small businesses that still thrive today. In the 1970s, VISTA merged with the Peace Corps, and the senior service programs and the Action, ACTION, agency was born. Early in the 1970s, VISTA recruited and trained professionals to serve. Doctors helped develop healthcare facilities where none had existed before. Architects helped renovate and build low-income housing, and lawyers advocated for housing and healthcare reform. During the 1980s, VISTA's focus changed to encouraging citizen participation and community self-help. Through their own initiatives, community members could increase awareness and participate in community issues. In 1986, the VISTA Literary Corps was developed to create literacy councils and expand adult education. Over 1/4 of all VISTAs at that point focused on increasing the literacy rates throughout the United States, which are now among the highest. The 1990s began a resurgence of national service. In 1990, George H.W. Bush developed the Commission on National and Community Service, CNCS. Further expansion of national service took place in 1993 with the signing of the National Community Service Trust Act. Bill Clinton developed AmeriCorps and merged the programs that George H.W. Bush had created to create VISTA, or Volunteers in Service to America. Throughout the 1990s, VISTA members continued the long tradition of starting new and innovative programs. They helped develop tenant-owned cooperative low-income housing, expanded individual development accounts to help people save, and focused on assisting people make the transition from welfare to work. That's the main thing with VISTAs, is to alleviate poverty and make that transition from welfare to work. In 2000, VISTA marked its 35th year with 6,000 members, the largest number serving to date. Members are continuing initiatives that began in the late 1990s to bridge the digital divide and promote welfare to work initiatives. According to a recent accomplishment survey prepared by Westat of Bethesda, Maryland, for every $1 spent on a VISTA member, $3.33 is returned to the community in the form of financial and in-kind resources and local volunteer time. So that's an incredible markup. Like I said, in 2008, VISTAs helped raise more than $183 million in funds and in-kind contributions for anti-poverty efforts. In 2008, also, VISTAs helped create 1 million community volunteers. That is an average of 135 community volunteers per VISTA. In the past 40 years, over 177,000 people have served as VISTA volunteers, working with local organizations to strengthen communities and help people escape poverty. During 2008 again, roughly 7,400 VISTAs served with approximately 950 project sponsors. 80% of former VISTA members continue to volunteer in their communities long after their terms of service end. In fact, I'm sure you might even know one. The mission of VISTA, the mission and the legacy of VISTA. VISTA builds capacity in nonprofit organizations and communities to help bring individuals and communities out of poverty. For over 40 years, VISTA has been helping bring communities and individuals out of poverty. Today, nearly 6,000 VISTA members serve in hundreds of nonprofit organizations and public agencies throughout the country, working to promote literacy, improve health services, create businesses, increase housing opportunities here in Fairbanks, working with homeless and homeless youth, working with veterans programs, working with economic development, working with Native youth, a whole variety, a huge scope of poverty alleviation efforts. VISTA, as I mentioned before, is part of CNCS, created by George H.W. Bush, the Corporation for National and Community Service. The mission statement of the Corporation for National and Community Service is to provide opportunities for Americans of all ages and backgrounds to engage in services that address the nation's educational, public safety, environmental, and other human needs to achieve direct and demonstrable results and encourage all Americans to engage in such service. In doing so, the corporation will foster civic responsibility, strengthen the ties that bind us together as a people, and provide educational opportunities for those who make a substantial commitment to service. Thank you.